Hello again. My name is Claire Walker, and in this free coaching video, I'm going to be talking about something that often gives people issues at this time of year. I'm recording this in the sort of beginning of the run up to the Christmas period, although, in all honesty, the things about which I'm about to speak do equally apply in the rest of the year. They just seem to come to a head for many people at this time of year. And what I'm talking about is getting on with other groups of people, specifically groups of people that always seem to have their own way of doing something, be it a group of people when you have to go perhaps to a partner's workplace for some kind of event or party, or going to someone else's family when you've had a kind invite from them that you feel, no, I don't want to refuse this, but they're so different from me. And there is one thought, one principle, which may help you very much, or someone you know if you know they're in this position, if you'd like to take that step forward into going into that new tribe, if you will, but you feel that in some way they're very different from you, they're very foreign from you. There's a thought that will help you, and that is actually to think of it in cultural terms as being a different culture. Now, you may think, hang on a minute, if I start thinking of them as a different culture, then there'll be even more of a divide between us. Shouldn't I be concentrating on the similarities between us? Well, yes, down the road that can work very well. But if you are feeling that you're going somewhere very different, and let's just take, for example, the idea of going to stay in another family's house, perhaps for the first time, who you don't know very well, but who are the family of somebody that you love, somebody that is your partner. That can be a very stressful experience. And yes, of course, concentrating on similarities is great, but when there are glaring differences, perhaps in the way in which they work to the way in which you're used to, or the way in which you were brought up, it can be extremely stressful. And I say thinking of it as a different culture because culture often revolves around shared ideas that people don't always have to speak about, shared customs such as ways of eating, ways of speaking, ways of greeting each other. And so going to another family can be very much like going to visit a very foreign culture, only because everybody's actually, well, very often, not always of course, but maybe speaking the same actual language, be it English or Spanish or Chinese or whatever else. Just because they're speaking the same language doesn't necessarily mean that the same family culture is going on, and it can feel very isolating. So just being aware that you are entering into a different culture, and therefore not expecting so much of yourself, can actually relieve some of the pressure to the extent that it's easier, conversely, to get on with these people and to be yourself. So, if you were going into another culture, say on holiday, what would the ground rules be that might work? They might be, don't expect things to be the same as they are at home, or perhaps if you're thinking back to your own family as they were at home, expect them to be different. Just expecting things to be different can be an enormous relief, especially on an occasion that has traditions attached to it, any kind of festival. What else might you also think if you were going to another culture in, I hate to use the word foreign country really because so few places are foreign these days, but to another culture, you might expect the customs to be different. And you might especially expect customs around things like eating and drinking and greeting each other and ways of conversing and ways of talking. You might expect them to be different. Again, if you go into the situation of being with a partner's family and expect those kind of customs to be different, to just notice that they're different, it will conversely be easier to fit in because you'll naturally be looking out for where you might need to mirror them a little bit. Now, in mirroring this new family or this new way of being. Uh, does that mean you have to lose your own identity? Absolutely not. But once you have mirrored them and understood what the customs are, it'll be then easier for you to find the appropriate points at which to be yourself and the appropriate points at which they can get to know you. In this example, I have used the example of going into uh, a partner's family or a family situation. But remember that this can apply equally in any situation where there's a group of people that have their own customs and their own set of norms. And that could be a business setting or even maybe just a social event. Thinking of it as a culture that you're studying and very gently mirroring and then being accepted by so that you can be yourself more easily is a much softer and gentler and easier way, and hopefully will take some of the stress out of those events so that you can enjoy them and have a good time. I hope that this has been helpful. I'm Claire Walker, and if you want more ideas like this, more ideas about getting on with people, having more fun, enjoying life, generally having a bit of personal development along the side, please do check out my website at www.selfworks.net. Many thanks. That's all for now. See you soon.